All right, so like I said, all we're going to do today is really break down and review mitosis and meiosis. I know this is probably the most complicated thing we've learned so far, and honestly, I think it's going to stay the most complicated thing. So we have all year to review it, no stress. All we're going to do is I'm going to walk us through this little table for mitosis and a table for meiosis, and go back and refresh our memory on the super important things that I need us to remember. If you forget anything about mitosis and you forget everything about meiosis, at least remember these important facts. This is where all the good stuff is. Okay, so let's walk through it. Starting with mitosis, here is a picture of mitosis to help us remember what it looks like and what's going on. So let's dive in, shall we? What is the purpose of mitosis? And we actually talked about this in the bell ringer. It is to replace and repair old or injured cells. So this is what helps us actually grow, because we're adding on new cells on top of new cells on top of new cells. So what type of cells are actually going to go through this process? Which ones are being replaced and repaired? So these are going to be our somatic, here's a throwback, our somatic cells, which is just a fancy way of saying our normal body cells. So mitosis is going to happen to replace our body cells. So that is any cell that makes up our body that isn't our sex cells, which we'll get to later on. Okay, so how many cellular divisions occurs during mitosis? That's just a fancy way of saying how many times is that original parent cell going to divide to make new cells. And if you look up at the picture, we see that it's only going to go through one cellular division. So here is our parent cell. That is our original somatic body cell. It is going to replicate its DNA, and then it's going to split just the one time to create those two new, or what we call daughter cells. So it is going to go through just one cellular division. Okay, so how many daughter cells are created? Well, we just answered that question. 2 new cells. So we'll say 2. And how do these daughter cells compare to the original cell? So since this is mitosis, it is a form of asexual reproduction, and the DNA is making an exact copy to be split up into new cells. So these cells are completely and exactly genetically identical to the original parent cell. So they are identical. Now, I think this is the tricky part. How many chromosomes are in the new daughter cells? So since these are exact copies, they are going to have the same number of chromosomes. They are going to have a full, complete amount. So we're going to say full amount. And we also call these diploid cells. So let's put that down as well. If they have the full number of cells, they are going to be full number of cells. If they have the full number of chromosomes, they are going to be diploid. We can also put 2N, because that is how we represent diploid cells as well. If N represents number of chromosomes, you have 2. So a full set of chromosomes. Okay. Now, here's something we didn't talk about in the beginning. I kind of dug around in my brain thinking, how can I make mitosis and meiosis even easier? How can we remember the difference? Because those two words sound so stinking similar. So when you see mitosis, mitosis has that T in it, that meiosis does not. So when you see the T, I want you to think T equals 2, T for 2, they both start with T, for 2 daughter cells. Okay, so you see mitosis, think 2. So 2 new cells are being made. Another way you can think of it is if you think mitosis. So if somebody steps on your toe, you're going to get injured. So you're going to have to go through mitosis to replace those old cells, and you would say, ow, mitosis. It's lame, but it works. Okay, so that was all about mitosis And again, there's that picture to help you remember what that's going to look like. So let's scroll down here to meiosis and talk about the differences between that and mitosis. So we're going to answer the same exact questions for meiosis that we did above. So what is the purpose of meiosis? This is to create new sex cells. So these cells that are going to be made during meiosis are what's going to join together and fertilize. There's that word we haven't heard in a while. Fertilize to make a new cell that's going to eventually grow into a person. So the sex cells are made through meiosis so they can make you. So what type of cells go through meiosis? Again, these are your sex cells, or we also call them gametes. Okay, so how many cellular divisions occur during meiosis? So how many times are these cells going to divide? During meiosis, you are going to see 2 cellular divisions. Remember, we see it PMAT, the prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. We're going to see that happen twice. So here it divides once, and then those 2 new cells are also going to divide again. So 2. How many daughter cells are created during meiosis? If you scroll up here, since we divide 2 times, you are going to see 4 brand new cells being made. So here are those 4 daughter cells. So 4. How do the daughter cells compare to the original parent cells? Now, since this is a form of sexual reproduction, these cells are not going to be identical to the parent cell. They are all going to have different DNA on the chromosomes. So they are going to be genetically different. Because that's how we all look different as people, because maybe you had an egg coming from your mother that has a different set of genes than your brother if you have the same mother. That was hard to follow. How many chromosomes are in the new daughter cell? Since the sex cells from the mother and the sex cells from the father have to combine to make a new cell, we're going to have half the amount of chromosomes in each sex cell. So when they add up, it has the right amount. So the gametes, or the sex cells made during meiosis, are going to have half, which is what we call a haploid cell. You can remember haploid means half because they both start with HA, haploid. So we represent that with just 1 N because it's half of a diploid, which is 2N. 1 is half of 2. Okay, so what's going to help me remember meiosis? So this one might be a little bit of a stretch, but if we remember, we talked about the sex cells. Where are they kept in our bodies? If you are a female, you are going to have your eggs. That's the sex cells that you're going to have. They are going to be in the ovaries. And if you are male, your sex cell is a sperm, and that is in the testes. So ovaries and, I cannot type today, ovaries and testes rhymes, I wish I could spell, with me. Okay, so ovaries and testes sounds like me. So when you see meiosis, think ovaries, testes. We're talking about sex cells. Again, I know that one is a bit of a stretch, but hopefully it helps you remember. So me, ovaries, testes. Okay, so if that is still a little bit confusing to you, I would honestly suggest watching this video more than once so you can hear it repeated over and over and over again. If you're still like, this lady's talking crazy at me, I have no idea what she's been saying this whole time, hit me up, please. I'm on Google Meet, always, or just email, comment, whatever you need to do to get a hold of me. I will break this down with you even more so. So once you're done filling out this chart, I have just 3 little questions to show that you now understand the difference, you remember the difference, and most of these questions we have actually seen before, so you should be able to look at it now and think, Now I know what this question's actually asking me. So go ahead and answer that, and once you are done with that, you are completely done for the day. Let me know if you need any help. I'm here for you.